CSI, VMA, and Ready Now Tactical would like to thank you for taking time out to view this video. The demonstrations that you're about to see was conducted today by professional marksmen, courtesy of the Silver Eagle Group located in Ashburn, Virginia. The ammunition shown in the background consists of various calibers of ammunition that we'll be using during the demonstration, and we'll explain each. This is one of the examples of one of the armor plates that we'll be using today throughout the demonstration. After each round is fired, we'll take a look at the ballistic plates and examine them for the various levels of deformation. We have a block of ballistic gel staged right behind the armor plate, just so we can see if there's any damage that occurs to the ballistic gel in the process.
It was 9mm round.
You see like
Very little deformation.
then it is like was it less than a half an inch?
About, yeah.
As part of the ballistic testing, we wanted to capture the images in super slow motion so that you could see the round striking the armor plate and also some of the kinetic energy and impact of the ballistic gel. Alright, so this is what the round does after it enters. It only creates an imprint on the rear, but it doesn't go through, and that's evident as we look at the ballistic gel up closer. We can see that the round has not penetrated the ballistic gel, and that the armor has done what it's intended to do, and that's to protect. So we're at roughly about 5 yards. This is where the shooter is, and this is like close distance for handgun ammunition. And when I say close distance, this is generally where you would encounter suspect or subject who would present a firearm or weapon, and that's the distance of where the officer or agent would then have to respond or react. So the next round that we're going to be staging up for is the 44 Magnum. So this demonstration is going to be for the 44 Magnum.
44 Magnum round.
Engineers? Yeah, phone. Go ahead, man. 3, 2, 1, shoot.
As you can see, the ballistic gel is not impacted. This is a 44 Magnum round, and this is the impact to the rear of the armor. And on the side, you can see how thick that side panel is, or the side of the panel is. And from the front, you can see the entry. The 44 Magnum entered, but you do not see an exit point. So that is showing that it did withstand the 44 Magnum round. And once again, you can see the ballistic gel and unharmed. So, and that distance was from back here at the 7 or 5 yard line, 5 to 7 yards away. So pretty good.
A plate name on that?
So just here, kind of reviewing slow motion video. You can just see after the 44 round was shot that it didn't penetrate the ballistic gel. We slowed it up to see the impact of the armor plates. And
Yeah.
you don't see any type of entry. And of course, you're gonna have
Force transfer.
Yeah. And you can see small
Easy.
vibration point on the ballistic gel, but nothing that would prove to be lethal, as it, stopped it from like entering the body.
I mean,
That would be a strong blow, but again, there would be no round that you would have to extract out of the body. So that's pretty good. So within that last demonstration, that was a 44 Magnum into the armor plating, and we saw that it didn't go through the armor. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, it didn't go through the armor. It's actually done what it's designed to do. We do have a little bit of, I guess, impact on the gel, but it did exactly what it's designed to do, and the back face deformation is pretty low.
So that impact is more of like just a strong punch or a blow, but it's not something that someone will have to surgically remove a round from,
Negative.
which is pretty good. So
Non-lethal.
it's more
Yeah.
than pretty good.
It'll be a nice little kick. It'll hurt.
Yeah,
but you're alive.
Live to see another day, right?
Correct.
So, and so that's what the objective is to stop the round. It did stop the round. It's very impressive. What this from other type of ballistic plates and things like that? How do you rate this for that type of round?
This would be considered soft armor. So the fact that it's not a piece of metal,
Right?
and it's a fabric-based product, that's pretty impressive that it can stop such a powerful round for a handgun.
I definitely say so.
Yeah.
All right, so within this last demonstration, we just saw the 44 Magnum. We saw that, like you mentioned before, it did stop the round. And what are some other major important parts of that demonstration relative to the plates itself?
Yeah, a big part of that is that the actual product does not have a striker plate. So there is no hard packing in the front or in the back. This is all just still considered soft armor.
That's awesome. So, and if it did have a striker plate, it would be even less of an impact. Is that what you mean by?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of the products that are out now are ceramic based with the striker plate. So if that's the case, then that creates just a hard piece that can break off. So we wanted to avoid that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's serving several purposes in that aspect.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. So what I'm showing you is the round prior to shooting, and it's a 44 mag round. It's got 240 grain, and this is it. That's what you just saw being fired. So the next round that I'm showing you is a 357 SIG. It's a full metal jacket, and it has 125 grain. And so let's see how this round fares against the armor plates. All right, so let's talk about how the 357 SIG did.
I have to.
And what do you think?
All right, so that's the shot right there. You can't see it, but you can feel it here in the back, but it's still minimal deformation. There is a good amount of protection that it brings, and it's a smaller round. Although you can feel it in here. That's a nice little indent.
Okay. So what would that be like? Just the indent there? I know it's no exit.
No
It's
exit.
an indent, but is that just more of like an impact punch or
Correct.
some kind of just the force alone?
Yeah, it's still gonna hurt, but no penetration, and you're still alive.
All right, good. That's the point. All right, thank you.
No problem. Much bigger hole. Smaller hole on this one.
So those are the entry points. Is that round still in there? I see something
Oh, yeah.
shiny. Okay, yeah, right there.
Yeah, it captured the round.
Oh, cool. So,
Yeah, it has to.
and those were, one was a full metal jacket. None of them were hollow points. So,
No.
All right, so that casing is still in there.
Yeah,
Not the casing, but the actual round itself.
Yeah, the round itself.
Terminology is important when talking about these things.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And from the rear, can we show that again one more time? Oh, wow.
No penetration.
Yeah, it's not even through any of the material at
Yeah.
all.
Sometimes it doesn't penetrate,
Uh-huh.
but it'll rip the fabric.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but in this case, it didn't even rip the fabric.
Okay. And that's good because from the street, we generally don't see, 44 Magnum rounds and the 357 rounds and things like that. However, if we do, that just shows, improves that.
9mm is going to be probably the most common round that you're going to find. However,
And these are way more powerful.
Yeah. So if we start testing at that point, you really won't see much of a result.
Yeah.
So the larger rounds, that's kind of showing you, hey, this is what it can do. Obviously, it'll handle a 9mm without a problem.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks again.
No problem.
3, 2, 1.
So the next round is going to be tested with a 5.56 round. It's also a pretty common round that we see on the street. and gang violence and different things like that. And it's also a military round. This one's a 55 grain, and it goes 3,120 feet per second as far as the movement. So here's the armor plate that we're going to use for the 5.56 round. You can see it's just a little bit thicker. However, it's still very light in weight and still pretty much the same size.
Eyes and ears.
Ready.
3, 2, 1.
3-point. And no penetration.
All right. And so just looking at the ballistic gel again, we did not see any round penetrate the actual gel. No rounds went through, and it did what its intended purpose was to do again. And so the 5.56 round is definitely a stronger round. It's more sharp. It's a smaller diameter. However, it's got a larger punch and used for more so for distance. And what is that?
Any deformation?
Okay. And so that would be the body side that you are showing out. And so you would normally wear it like this. And so that's going to be the entry point. And when you flip it around, that's going to be where it would actually be an exit point if it did go through, but however, it didn't. So that's pretty good. More than pretty good is excellent. So this is the armor plate, and we're going to give you a perspective as to what it looks like when the round hits the armor plate and what it looks like from the ballistic gel perspective to see the vibration and the punch that this 5.56 round impact does. This is the casing of one of the 5.56s, and I showed you it prior to it being shot. But let's see what it looks like as it's shot and it hits the plate.
2, 1.
Wow, that is pretty strong. And we even saw like some of the movement of the table. We saw one of the stands on the table actually fall from that. All right, so once again, we're back here again, and we're showing the entry point of the round, and also there's no exit. We just see like some of the impact, and that was awesome. So what do you think about that one?
This one was even better, just because it didn't even rip the material.
Right.
Yeah, the impact's a little bit more deformation, but minimal.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to feel it in order to kind of see what I'm saying, but still. And this is after the plate's already been shot one time.
Wow. That's impressive. All right. So what you just tore it out of the casing itself, the fabric?
Correct. It shows the layers here.
All right.
Also, clear entry points. So the round is in there. Capture the entire round.
Okay.
And this is what we mean by deformation. Very minimal.
Okay, so deformation means just
it means how much of the material is actually pushed back, how it's deformed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's what they call back face deformation.
Back face deformation. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, new term. So, all right, that's pretty cool. Did its intended purpose.
It did.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of like we did the last one. You want a marker?
All right, so this next round is the 308 Winchester, and it's 150 grain. In comparison to what you just saw, this is what the 5.56 looks like, and this is the 308 round, and that's a pretty big difference. So you can see there's a difference in the size of the projectile and the casing. So let's see how this fares up.
That eliminates all
All right, so as you can see, that 308 round is very strong. You see a little bit of material coming out the back. However, when you look at the ballistic gel, still, it's no damage. the round doesn't go through, it stops the round. But the armor plate looks a little destroyed or ugly. However, this person would live to see another day. All right, so we just watched the 308 round, and as you can see, the ballistic gel was not impacted. The round didn't go through. It did leave some indentation on the front from the pressure.
Yes.
However, the round was stopped. It didn't go through. So
Yeah.
surgery-wise,
You'll be alive.
there wouldn't be
You're
a
gonna be
removal
pain.
of the round from the body.
I mean, that's a pretty
the
large round.
impact
to
and the
get hit with
vibration was
and
pretty
not have
strong.
something penetrate,
And,
not penetrate your body too. That's incredible.
You'll see. That's all I can say. The impact was pretty
Those
strong, but it's a
rounds
strong
are used
round.
to kill elephants.
However, super impressive that
yeah. So
the
an
armor
animal
plates
that
did
large.
stop the bullet.
Yeah. Here's the entry point from the 308 round.
Okay, wow. Look
There's
at
the no exit.
That's super impressive.
Now, it did tear the material. There is more back face deformation because it is a much larger round. So this one packs a much
Yeah.
larger punch.
So that was one of the first things I saw. I was like, oh no, it destroyed it, but it didn't. It
Yeah.
just looked pretty dramatic because of the material coming apart. But
Yeah.
wow.
And
so
if
it
it stayed
stopped that
intact,
round.
the round is in here, so it did capture the whole round.
And that's from the top. So like I could see like when you show the other armor and it hit like right center, it didn't even like from the second round, it didn't even break the material. And so this is shot at a higher point versus just right in the center, and it still performed pretty well. So
Correct.
so I guess we'll shoot it again and kind of see how it impacts it or
Yeah,
doesn't impact it.
different part of the actual plate. We'll shoot it lower, and then that way you can see the different effects on the whole plate itself.
Okay. All right, cool. So you can see how we're setting this up, and it's just leaning right up close to the gel.
Three, two, one.
Second entry point,
Okay.
still 308. More deformation. So,
All right. So this one didn't tear the material, and that's kind of one of the things that we talked about. Is
it's
you know,
stretched.
yeah, it's stretched. So
So it didn't tear the material
Right.
because it actually pulled the material right here.
okay, cool.
So it actually withstood the stretch of it. But as you can see, the material's been pulled. The round's still in there,
You're right.
captured it. Still,
And that's even more impressive to me because like where it shows the point of impact right there, it's off to the side, and you would think, from that location that the plate will be weaker. However, it's still withstanding, it's still strong.
and it's already weakened by the first shot.
Wow, that's very impressive. So if it actually like the first shot was probably in the middle, is the middle of the armor plate usually the strongest or?
I wouldn't say it's the strongest, but it is where you have the least amount of back impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or at least signs of the back impact.
Okay. Wow. All right. So you all seen the side deformation. You've seen that being shot. And also, this is a ballistic gel afterwards. And with that 308 round, nothing went through. It stopped it. I showed you the armor plate, what it looked like afterwards. And just with the gel itself, you can see like those impact marks on there. However, the gel is stuck up against the table. And if it was a person wearing the actual armor, they probably fall back a little bit, or a person's, move. But this gel is stuck there and it hasn't fallen off the table. It hasn't moved. And the armor plates are doing a terrific job. So we're signing up once again with the fresh armor plate, and there's no deformation on the back. We're gonna shoot this with a 308 round, and there are 2 rounds that have been fired through this. However, they're not the 308 rounds, but we're gonna see if it actually has weakened the armor plate or if it hasn't.
Three, two,
Again, no impact to the armor plate or the ballistic gel, I'm sorry, but the armor plate has been struck. And let's see what the armor plate looks like now.
Third shot,
So 3rd shot, right?
3rd entry right here,
Okay.
lower corner, and no penetration.
No penetration. And actually, when they just put it up there, I thought that it was a new plate, but it's the same plate with just a 3rd round on it.
Same plate.
It looked pretty refreshed just putting it back up there, but you didn't do any magic to it. There was no modification. And wow, just saw that back corner, man.
Yeah, so it did rip the material that it's encased in. However, it is still did its job.
All right, yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about, hey, like the likeliness of the person being hit like 3 times all at the same time. It's not quite likely, is it?
It's not.
Because I mean, generally, like if it's a person shot, from a long distance or that range, they go, they fall down or whatever, and the shooter has to, reload, and it's not going to be maybe at that same point, or they'll probably be thinking, hey, I took this guy out. But
Correct.
so that is impressive. Even if you were to be shot 3 times, that armor still works at that, from that.
This is pretty much testing to failure. So
Right.
we want to make sure that we are the best. So even if in case this is a very unlikely scenario, if it is something that happens, it's still covered.
Wow, that's impressive.
Mhm.
So as you guys can see, we're shooting from 7 yards, and from a 308 round at 7 yards, that's super impressive. Normally the distances would be further, and so if you're shooting at over 3,100 feet per second and just using a round this close and it's still not penetrating, that's pretty impressive. So what we're doing right now is we're preparing the ballistic gel so that we can fire the 308 round into it to give you a perspective from 7 yards of what kind of impact that would have into the ballistic gel. And it'll show you why it's important to have on armor plates from Ready Now Tactical.
yeah. Go. 3, 1. Oh, that was me.
All right, so you can see that getting shot by a 308 is pretty deadly. Wow, hole in the table and all. All right, so you can see the violence and like the mass effect that this could have if you're shot with a 308 round from 7 yards. I mean, this table and the block is destroyed. It went through the block, and you can see when a round enters a human body, it doesn't just have to go straight. It could dance around a little bit. So the vibration itself has broke the table, and then you can see like the round kind of skipped and into the backdrop. Wow, that's crazy. Look at the pieces on the ground. Look at the gel in the front. And just all the way through. Look at that wave in there. So would this go in and out of the body? Pretty sure it probably would. But man, that is a lot of energy that destroyed this tape. Pieces and particles just everywhere. Wow. On behalf of CSI, VMA, and Ready Now Tactical, we'd like to thank you for watching this short presentation. If you have further questions, these are the points of contact below, and thank you for watching CSI, VMA, and Ready Now Tactical.